Well, hello, Ellen. How are you today?
I'm okay, I suppose. Work's fine. Hilda's fading fast. Terry's Terry. I feel a bit sad, to be honest. I gave all my keepsakes back.
Keepsakes, then let's talk about those.
Well, I thought about it, and well, I know you said it was okay that I should keep them, but maybe it did look a bit suspicious. Me having things that have belonged to patients who've died in my care. I don't want people to get the wrong idea about me. The locket, the watch, the ring, even the little bird Sarah Dekker gave me. I wasn't supposed to mention her.
Well, that's opened up. Sarah Dekker. Dekker had a daughter?
Doctor Dekker's mother.
Oh.
She was one of my first patients, but she died a while ago.
Died a while ago?
I can't remember exactly. I'd only just started seeing Dr. Dekker.
Okay, more than that then. Dekker's mother.
That doesn't really matter. Let's talk about something else.
That didn't really go anywhere, did it? Okay. Sarah Dekker died. How did you meet Sarah Dekker? What in the world? How do you follow up on that one?
Dr. Dekker's mother. She was one of my first patients, but she died a while ago.
First patients.
I've been a nurse for ages, but I've only worked at the nursing home for the last year. I tend to move around quite a bit. I get quite fidgety if I stay in the same place too long.
Well, that's a trait that's come up before. People that don't want to stick around in one location. Fidgety. Nope. Move around.
I don't know.
Never mind. That's fine. Let's ask about the locket. Nope. That's not the correct way to follow up on the keepsakes. Okay, so you gave them back. Let's ask about the patient. What's her name? Hilda.
Hilda's nearing the end. She's been sleeping a lot, not eating much. She hasn't been that argumentative either. Although, she did give me a vicious scratch yesterday.
Scratch? That's unusual. Why are your patients hurting you?
It was nothing. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know? I'm trying to help her, but she keeps fighting me. It'll be better after she's seen her daughter. I've decided I'm going to do it tonight. She hasn't got much time left.
Oh, you're getting creepy now. Is she scratching at you because she's emotionally deranged and doesn't comprehend her surroundings very well? Or is she doing it because she feels threatened by you because you're the angel of death and you seem to actually, there's a suggestion you might not be up to anything good tonight?
I don't know.
Daughter?
I feel like you're clutching at straws.
Hilda's daughter tonight. Nope, those don't combine very well.
It was nothing. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know?
Not much time.
I don't know anything about...
Hilda doesn't have long now. Nope, that's not working out. Okay, what about Terry then?
Terry seems to have backed down since I gave the keepsakes back. Actually, it doesn't seem like she's been very well. Not her usual self. Maybe she's got a bug or something.
A bug?
Is that really what you want to talk about?
Her usual self.
Ask me something else.
Terry's usual self.
Sorry,
Terry doesn't seem right. Not sure how to follow up on that. Maybe there isn't a follow-up. There's no asterisks, I suppose. Concerning, though, I'm wondering if she's affecting other people around her now that aren't even just the patients.
Hilda's name. It was nothing. I was just trying to give her meds. It's hard, you know? I'm trying to help her, but she keeps fighting me. It'll be better after she's seen her daughter. I've decided I'm going to do it tonight. She hasn't got much time left.
Did I try daughter already? I thought I did.
I don't know anything about that.
He'll seen her daughter.
That's the plan. I know. It sounds unbelievable, like I'm making it up. I wish I could prove it to you somehow. We could try shifting now. Think of someone you really love. It might help if you close your eyes. Are you thinking of them? Can you picture them? Okay, hold on. Sorry, I don't think it's gonna work. On the bright side, that probably means you're not gonna die anytime soon.
Is that what your takeaway of that is? Huh. So that's one of the first times someone's tried to demonstrate their power right in front of me directly. Although there was the suggestion of like that one dedicated chapter where I seem to be looping while talking to the person that talks about looping, almost like it spread to me. But yeah, she seemed to actually successfully change a bit. Her face looked different for a moment. There was a flicker of something. Die anytime soon.
I feel like you're clutching at...
What do I do with that line of dialogue then?
That's the plan. I know. It sounds...
Alright, let's try unbelievable. What a word to latch onto.
It's tricky. I mean, I'll sound exactly like Hilda's daughter, but I try and keep it vague because I don't become her. I don't know what she would really say. I say things like, it's okay, don't be scared, I love you, Mum, or I love you, Dad. But it doesn't really matter what their relationship's like because it's not really them. I always do the Disney version. The best, most loving version. That's what my patients want to hear. And maybe deep down they know it's not the truth, but it's got to be better than the reality.
That's dark. So it's exactly like I said too, like she's pretending to be this person and she's not replacing them or literally like summoning them in some way or channeling them. Like the person, she has no connection with the person that she's intimidating. I mean, she has no connection with the person she's imitating, so like it's an act. She's just, it's almost like fraudulent emotions, and like if it doesn't work, it could blow up so much in her face. The truth.
Does it really matter if it isn't the truth? Isn't it worth it if it brings them peace? Tell me honestly, Doctor, do you really think that what I'm doing is wrong?
Yes, this is wrong.
So you're saying I should let Hilda die without seeing her daughter one last time?
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes, this is wrong. Hilda should see her real daughter or no one at all. I don't know how to follow up on the second question.
So you're saying I should let Hilda die without seeing her daughter one last time?
Yes, let Hilda die.
I don't know if I could do that, Doctor. I'd be letting her down. I'd have to think about it.
Otherwise, you're lying to her. I mean, work with your patients, try to find their families, and try to get them to be there when they need to be there, and if they truly care, then hopefully that'll all come together. But pretending to be them, impersonating them, not only is that horribly immoral and manipulative and concerning, but also there's an additional layer of like, maybe it blows up in your face and the act isn't believable, and then you just have this horrifying thing happen near the end of their life at that point.
I'm okay, I suppose. Works fine. Hilda's fading fast. Terry's Terry. I feel a bit sad, to be honest. I gave all my keepsakes back.
We did Terry, Hilda, and the keepsakes, I believe. I don't think we talked about you being sad.
I know it's silly, but those things meant a lot to me. They were reminders that I'd helped those people.
Sure. But it was kind of crossing a line a bit to have them in the first place. Let's ask about the paper spike. It was also drawing a lot of attention to you that could be problematic.
It's true then. I'd heard Dr. Dekker was stabbed, but I didn't know for sure. It's weird that whoever did it would choose the paper spike.
It's interesting, yeah, because the paper spike shows up as this thing that it would be used in different ways around the time for different people. Like, she'd put the checks on the spike from the person whose checks always bounce, or for somebody else, he would stab his own hand and be like, "Ooh, it's not real." But all of them seem to be aware of it on some level.
It's true then. I'd heard Dr. Dekker was stabbed, but I didn't know for sure. It's weird that whoever did it would choose the paper spike.
Okay, then why specifically is it weird?
Dr. Dekker used to play with it in our sessions sometimes. You know, pick it up, handle it while we talked. I remember once, he pushed the spike through his skin. Yeah, this bit here between his thumb and his finger. He said he didn't think I'd mind the sight of blood, being a nurse and all that, but actually, there wasn't any.
There was no blood?
I was a bit freaked out. At first, I thought it was a trick. A magic trick, you know? Like some kind of therapeutic test. Show the patient this retractable spike and see how they react. But it wasn't. The spike was real.
Kinda makes him just seem like a lunatic, doesn't it? That he just would potentially traumatize his patients for no apparent reason. Spike was real.
Dr. Dekker gave me the paper spike to try. It wasn't fake. It was pretty sharp, actually. I don't know how he did it. He said he just thought that it wouldn't hurt him, so it didn't.
The people just get into this headspace where they can just warp reality by just convincing themselves of the situation and just saying, "Yep, that's how it is," and they commit to it, and then it just happens. Hello, Nathan. Long time no see. How are you?
I burned the photos of Hannah. It didn't work. I suppose because the loss was superficial. The next thing I burned was the rocking chair. That worked. I've been getting rid of her stuff ever since. There was a day when I attacked a Salvation Army bin, but I gave in.
Okay, so burning the chair did ultimately work, even though it seemed like a risk. These are two cases where you tell people one thing or another and they kind of ultimately make their decision anyway. Like, it's like, "Oh, you said to burn the photos? Nah, I burned the chair. Nah, you said that I could keep the locket? Nah, I got rid of the locket." Interesting. One way or another, he got here because he can only be at each next day because he loops. No matter what, he eventually successfully stops looping each day because the next session he's there again. But how long time is repeated for him to cost that is unknown. Alright, rocking chair.
That's not really right.
Alright, Salvation Army.
I accidentally put Hannah's diary into a Salvation Army donation bin. They're like huge post boxes with a circular tray that makes sure things spill to the bottom. I tried to get in to get it back, but I gave up.
So he says the loss was superficial for the photos because he had a digital copy of them, so the impact wasn't there. Gave up?
Sorry, drawing a blank.
Part of that was the part I'd follow up on it exactly.
I accidentally put Hannah's diary.
Oh, the diary.
I read the last few weeks of Hannah's diary a while ago. I must have accidentally dropped in some clothes for the Salvation Army bin. It's funny, because I wasn't going to read it. She said she'd fallen out of love with me. That she was going to break off the engagement. That she didn't love me anymore. I regretted it.
That's brutal. A reveal that the person that he was obsessing over was going to break up with him, but never happened for real because she died in an accident. But that loss of understanding that the understanding that the relationship was doomed might help him break free of the loops altogether if they're tied to his obsession with her and what happened. Regretted it?
I regretted that I mourned for Hannah so long. I regret the grief. I regret all the days I slept through because of it. Had I known she didn't love me anymore, things would have been different. I'm a bit angry now. If I had that day over again, I may just still pull out in front of the driver.
God damn, still considering killing Hannah. It's like, oh, you didn't love me anymore? Maybe I would kill you then on purpose. Jeez. On one hand, this change of mood might break the loops, but on the other hand, he pretty fucked up position for his headspace to go to at that point. Let's talk about the paper spike.
I remember the spike. It was very sharp. Dekker used to fool around with it during the sessions, but I mostly just kept my head down. Most of the time it paid not to look at what he was doing.
Not to look?
No.
Nothing about that seemed like it'd go anywhere. Are we done with you already? This kind of feels like a dead end.
I remember the spike. It was very sharp. Dekker used to fool around with it during the sessions, but I mostly just kept my head down. Most of the time it paid not to look at what he was doing.
Huh. He seems like an unusually quiet person today, and that the stories seem to have kind of dead-ended immediately. So, like, we've reached what might be an end point with the story with Hannah, and the paper spike is kind of a standalone throwaway thing. Let's ask about looping.
That doesn't...
Loop.
I don't know.
Break the loop.
I'm not trying to hide.
Repeat.
No.
No. That might be it at this point. No, it's not it. There's something else to ask about or it altogether then. Let's see, her diary, the photos.
I've got nothing to tell you.
Burn the photos.
You've asked me that already. No. Wait.
Well, that's looping at that point. Okay, what about the diary can we follow up on here then? Because this paper spike didn't help at all.
I read the last few weeks of Hannah's diary a while ago. I must have accidentally dropped in some clothes for the Salvation Army bin. It's funny, because I wasn't going to read it. She said she'd fallen out of love with me. That she was going to break off the engagement. That she didn't love me anymore. I regretted it.
We already followed up on the regret. Let's talk about the engagement.
Can we maybe not talk about Hannah anymore? And thanks for the dating advice, by the way.
Alright, let's talk about dating then.
I signed up for a dating website. It's a bit easy, to be honest. If I message something they don't like, I change it when the day replays. It's not very honest.
It's not very honest, but yeah, fun advantage to have, I suppose, at talking to people is that you can just repeat the day over and over again and then do something better. Though it's got to be agonizing once you figure out the correct stuff to say to someone that you have to then repeat that conversation with them over and over and over again, saying the correct thing over and over again until finally the day happens to loop correctly, and hopefully that version of the time sticks. It's almost like as if, like you're playing an RPG where every hour it where every like 15 minutes or whatever it quick saves over and over again, and then every hour it might quick load, but you don't know when. It's just a surprise which parts of the game repeat and which parts loop onto themselves again. Let's ask about honesty.
If I'm being honest, I'd probably rather ask out one of the patients I've seen here. The friendly redhead with the accent.
Is this my chance? Cause I was trying to figure out what the hell to do with Mariana, because she was like a dead end. Alright, then let's ask about her, even though it's incredibly unprofessional for us to ask about these other patients, and it's probably fucked up that any of them know who each other are. It seems like none of them should know who each other were, and it seems like Dekker might have been kind of unprofessional that this was allowed. How many of them all know each other?
I don't know anything about that.
Redhead.
I'm not trying to hide anything.
Oh, the redhead thing's a dead end, apparently. Where do we go from here, then? See, let's talk about Doctor Dekker.
I've told you all I know about Dr. Dekker. He started out good, then turned a bit crazy towards the end. When you start giving people more problems as a therapist, that's a bit crazy.
More problems?
I started out with depression. Now I seem to repeat days. Even if you don't believe the repeat days, then I clearly have extra mental health problems that he's given me.
Yeah, it's true. Whether it's repeat days or some other mental issue, it's still a new problem of some kind. That was more problems. Let's ask about... What's the other thing I could have asked about? Crap, I had another thing. I had something else in mind and I forgot it.
I've told you all I know about Dr. Dekker. He started out good, then...
Crazy was the word that came to mind.
I think that he possibly cursed other people, a bit like he cursed me. Sometimes you could see he was bursting to tell me about it, but he couldn't. He was ecstatic with power.
Ooh, ecstatic with power. There's a fun phrase.
You've asked me that already. No.
Power.
That doesn't mean...
Couldn't tell you.
Sorry.
Power.
No.
Tried that already. Static.
That's not...
No.
I think that he possibly...
Cursed. That's where we can go. Not power, cursed, even though they'd both point in the same directional dialogue point.
The curse. Or remembered. I was hoping you'd forget. It's gonna sound crazy. Dr. Dekker said I would never be able to move forward until I came to terms with my grief. And so from this point on, I start to relive the same day over and over again until I made something of it. I believed him.
So... he thought I'd forget about the curse, but he literally just said cursed in the previous sentence, so that's kinda... eh? So it seems that Dekker's power might have come from the fact that he would make people believe they have these powers, and then the power would manifest in some way? Possibly? Although it's a little confusing because some of them seem to be baffled by the existence of what they do and not even aware of them, which makes it wonder how they could be manifested by the fact that they believe in it specifically or something. But this was highlighted by the sudden appearance of Mr. Warwick, who particularly talks about the idea of believing in a specific state of existence and then that existence just kind of becoming the reality.
The curse. Or remembered.
Was it make something of it? It's probably a place to go on.
Like I said, it takes something like a tragic event to move my day forward. I do more and more bizarre things to try and get things moving. It's a curse, like I said.
You try to do things more bizarre?
I intentionally cut myself. I publicly humiliate myself. I steal things. I hurt people around me, just enough to get another day to start. I ran out of people around me pretty quickly.
He'd do crazy things every day to try to make the next day continue so he could just have a timeline and function like a normal human being, but as a result he started alienating everyone around him.
The curse. Or remembered. I was hoping you'd forget. It's gonna sound crazy. Dr. Dekker said I would never be able to move forward until I came to terms with my grief. And so from this point on, I start to relive the same day over and over again until I made something of it. I believed him.
Yeah, that's the important thing, is you believed him. Everyone believes Dr. Dekker.
I didn't want to believe him. I remember I said, "You can't just say things and they happen." He laughed and laughed. I think he was going mad. He said he'd give me a demonstration.
Ooh, juicy. Demonstration. Not a lot of people do those around here. Everyone just claims stuff.
He held his hand outstretched and told me to look at the flame. There was no flame, and then there was. He was holding a flame in his hand that had come out of nowhere. And he tried to hypnotize me to make me forget it.
I just saw the flame.
I didn't forget seeing the flame. He wanted me to forget it all, but I didn't. For whatever reason, he couldn't undo what he'd done. I was scared. I pretended like the hypnosis had worked.
That's rather fucked up. If he's using hypnosis on people to make them forget stuff that he does during their meetings, then he could have been doing almost anything during these meetings and getting away with it because he keeps wiping it from their memory over and over again, which means that he could have made some of these people gain these powers, then wiped away from their memory the session where he made them have this power via believing them, so they still believe the thing somewhere deep down, but they don't remember the conversation that led to it happening, and so they don't know how exactly the power happened, aside from the fact that it seems to have manifested sometime around when they were meeting with Dekker. Pretended?
I was scared what Dr. Dekker would do to me if he found out I still knew, so I had to play along, keep coming to the sessions, pretend I hadn't seen what he'd done. It was awful, because I was suffering through the same days over and over again, but I couldn't talk to him about it, because he'd know.
That's concerning too, yeah. So he got stuck in the infinite loop, but he was trying to pretend to Dekker that none of this was happening. So he then had to pretend the same way over and over again every day until the day would finally loop, which means he had to live through the exact same scenario and not screw it up over and over again for some ridiculous amount of time.
He held his hand outstretched and told me to look at the flame. There was no flame, and then there was. He was holding a flame in his hand that had come out of nowhere. And he tried to hypnotize me to make me forget it.
We didn't actually ask about hypnotize. No. Forget it.
He'd become bored of me, so I got much of my insight from calls or messages he'd take during our sessions. I think because he hypnotized me, he didn't want to play with me anymore, so I got basic therapist.
Oh. So he thinks that if the hypnosis works, then the person you're dealing with is like kind of not worth it. So he was just sort of a generic patient at that point because he had fallen for the hypnosis, so he wasn't special enough or something. But it turns out he was special, or whatever the requirement is here, and the power did awaken in him, but because he pretended to be hypnotized that one time, Dekker continued on like he was just a normal patient from that point on instead. Let's ask about basic therapist.
He told me lots of people get depression, to become more active, see more people. And although he wouldn't always be there to listen, Jaya would be.
Alright, so Jay is helpful then.
Yeah, I talked to her quite a lot. I'm not sure how many days of that she'd remember. She seemed to care, which is more I can say for Dekker.
That's a good sign. Jaya cares. Nathan says he talked to Jaya a lot. I should ask her. I feel like we talked about them interacting before. So you talked to Nathan. Yeah.
He talked to me a bit. It's been bothering me, but I think I should share it. My keycard went missing on Valentine's Day and Nathan had it. Well, he gave it back to me in the morning, said he'd found it on the floor of the office, but I don't drop things, Doctor, not key cards. I checked the access log and it was used at 10:05 on Valentine's night. I guess it doesn't prove he used it, but somebody did.
Yeah, we kind of already did that whole path, I think, by talking about Nathan in general. So I think we've covered that ground, and I don't think it's gonna go anywhere new.